America's middle class has just endured a tough decade. It has shrunk in size, fallen backward in income and wealth, and shed some, but by no means all, of its characteristic faith in the future. From 2000 to 2010, middle-income households saw their median annual income drop by 5% in inflation-adjusted dollars. During the same decade, middle-income families saw their median wealth decline by 28%. Let's step back and look at this in context for all Americans. In each decade from the end of World War II to the year 2000, mean family income had increased for the most part, for every income bracket. But the decade from 2000 to 2010 shows a vastly different story. Mean family income declined across the board. For most Americans, it was a lost decade. Let's look again at what's happened to the middle income group. It has been shrinking in size for 4 decades straight, from 61% of U.S. adults in 1971 to 51% of adults in 2011. They've dispersed into economic tiers both above and below, with slightly more moving into the upper tier. But only the upper tier has increased its share of the nation's total household income. In 2010, the upper tier took in 46% of the nation's household income. 40 years before that, the upper tier took in just 29% of the nation's household income. When you look at the middle tier, they took in 45% of the national income in 2010, down from 62% in 1970. So, who's in the middle class today? In our latest survey, 49% of adults describe themselves as middle class and estimate that a family of 4 would need an annual income of $70,000 to lead a middle class lifestyle. Indeed, according to our analysis of Census Bureau data, the median income for a 4-person household is a little over $68,000. But no matter what their own level of income may be, 85% of Americans who describe themselves as middle class say it's more difficult now than it was a decade ago for middle class people to maintain their standard of living. And who do they blame for this? 62% say a lot of the blame lies with Congress. 54% say the same about banks and financial institutions. 47% blame large corporations. 44% blame the administration of former President George W. Bush. 39% blame foreign competition. 34% blame the Obama administration. And just 8% blame the middle class itself. Middle-class Americans still have faith in the future, but their outlook is not as rosy now as it was before the recession began. For more on this report, go to pewresearch.org or pewsocialtrends.org/middleclass. Make sure to follow us on Twitter or Facebook for our most up-to-date reports.